Not good. All right, so we got it recording now. Okay, back over here. Okay. So, question is, what do you need to do if you know you won't fill your last trailer? If you're ordering your final trailer and you know you're not going to fill it, what do you need to do? For those of you who were quick, you already saw the answer, but no cheating. All right, if you know that you're not going to fill your last trailer, you need to make sure when you place the order for that trailer that you order the sealed divider. And there's all kinds of detailed information in the instructions that we sent you today that talk about what a sealed divider is and how you order that. All right, Tracy, back to you.
Okay, so my question really pertains to Mississippi and Alabama. What types of trailers does Old Dominion prefer? And the answer is 28-foot pups when possible. So as opposed to the 48-foot or the 53-foot, Old Dominion prefers that you use the 28-foot pups. And Wendy.
Okay, so when and how do you report a trailer is my question. The answer is we really want you to complete your BOL on the extranet if at all possible. But if you have a problem with the extranet, then you can call headquarters to report your trailer. And either way, you need to do it as soon as the trailer leaves your facility. And there are practice BOLs will be available on the extranet before National Collection Week for practice. All right, over to Jody.
This is really like confused, chaotic is the word, chaotic.
Oh, are y'all
all right?
I'm sorry. Is there?
So some important. If we can all put our phones on mute, that would be great. It helps with background noise. That'd be great. Just a couple of reminders for the central drop-offs for this year. This is really important because we really need to make sure to make Wendy's life easier in the office, the regional office. So what we need to make sure is that on the important dates to remember to make sure you email the final CDO network total to the regional office. And Shelley, do you have that slide in? There we go. All right, so you need to, you must report your, you must report your trailer either by submitting a BOL on the extranet or by phone. You must do that, but you also need to email your CDO network total to the regional office. This is really important. So there's two steps. We prefer that you do submitting your BOL on the extranet. If you can do that at all, that is much more preferred. But you can also do it by phone if you run into technical issues. And then you also need to email your final CDO network total to the regional office. And there is the email address by November 21st. And if you could put in the subject line collection total / CDO name. That way, as we get over 400 of these coming in, Wendy can see which one's which, and it just makes things a lot smoother.
All right, so the next question is, when do you mail your closure packet in? When do you mail your closure packet? And the answer is you mail it no later than Wednesday, November 22nd. So 2 days after National Collection Week is over, you must have your closure packet in the mail. And this year, in order to help us kind of manage the number of emails that are coming through and to be able to track, we're asking you if you will just take a picture of the tracking table on your closure packet
Just hang it up and redo it.
Your phone. If everybody could mute your phone, that would be really helpful. We've got a little bit of background noise there. But the closure packets must be shipped no later than Wednesday, November 22nd. Email a picture of the tracking label to OCC Southeast and put in the subject line tracking label / CDO name and your central drop-off name. So put tracking label / whatever the name of your central drop-off is. All right, back to you, Tracy.
Okay, so I've got several parts to my question, but the first one is, who is responsible for collecting the Excel drop-off logs from each drop-off location? And the answer to that is the central drop-off team leader.
I know that.
My next question is, who is responsible for combining all of the drop-off logs into one spreadsheet and emailing them to the area coordinator or the logistics coordinator or the regional office? And again, that falls on central drop-off team leaders. Those are two of your responsibilities. So now my final question is, when are the combined drop-off logs due? Well, you can see from the slide, you all should get this one right, that they're due on November 29th. So in total, how many emails will you be sending during or after National Collection Week? The answer is 3. You're going to send one email with the CDO network total. You're going to send one email with a picture of the tracking label that shows that you sent your closure packet, and then a final email with the Excel drop-off logs.
Excellent. Well, if you got all of these answers right, like I said, be sure to email me and we can send you a fun prize. But now we're going to go on to a little bit of paperwork reminders from Wendy.
Okay, again, we're still getting feedback from somebody who has their phone off mute, so if you could please mute it, that would be extremely helpful. Real quick, the collection network summary form that every central drop-off team leader will be receiving. The first thing I want to remind you about is you will get a blank copy of this in the kit that is mailed to you for your drop-off location. We are asking you to please throw out the blank copy because we will be sending you from the regional office a typed collection network summary that has all of your drop-off locations that are supposed to be delivering boxes to your location in alphabetical order on the sheet, the way that I need to be able to process the paperwork in the regional office. So we're doing part of the work for you, so I just ask that you please use the sheet that we're taking time to type and put it on there because that's going to be a huge help for us in the processing.
Wait a minute, Wendy. Did you say they're supposed to throw out a paper that comes in their kit? Which one is that again?
I did. You're only throwing out one thing, and it is the collection network summary sheet. Replacing it with the one that we will be emailing you from the regional office in plenty of time. We've got to get all the collection network finalized. Once we get that and have time to do the paperwork, we will get those emails out to you as soon as we can. And the other thing I just want to draw your attention to is on the bottom of this form, you will see there's a spot for collection network total and there's a spot for your BOL total. Those numbers need to match. If those numbers do not match when you are having the boxes leave your premises, there is no way for me to reconcile them in the office when I don't have the shoe boxes to be able to double count. So if there's a discrepancy, they're asking that you go with the BOL total and that you put on the lines at the bottom what the reason is for the discrepancy if you can figure it out. So that would be very, very helpful. So that is all that I wanted to remind you about with that form, and I really appreciate your attention to the detail.
All right, thanks, Wendy. I'm going to go back in really quickly and just mute the audience so we can hopefully get rid of some of the background noise, and then we will carry on with our presentation. All right, so now I'd like to move on to talk about how to have a fun NCW prep meeting. And you can see on there, say, what? A fun NCW prep meeting? Well, that kind of seems to be the attitude of some of our drop-off team leaders because, like I mentioned, people have always asked, do we have to go to this meeting? Do we have to get our information again? And so our desire this year is really to do everything that we can to make our prep meetings fun. This actually should be like a big pep rally, a really fun party as you get ready and prepare and get excited about National Collection Week. So I just want to share a few quick tips on how you can make this really fun. And the neat thing about this is that each of you have different personalities and different drop-off team leaders in your network. And so you have some freedom to do fun things and different things with the information. What we really care about is that the content is presented, but how you present it is up to you. So my first suggestion is to be sure to invite the whole area team. This is a great time to get the whole team together and get everybody meeting each other and excited because really National Collection Week is an all hands on deck event. So invite your whole team to your prep meeting. The second point is decorate and demonstrate. Like I have here, a picture paints 1,000 words. Whatever you want your drop-off team leaders to do for National Collection Week, go ahead and model that for them as they come to your meeting. Have your Christmas decorations out. Demonstrate how you greet people as they come in the door. So decorate and demonstrate at your prep meeting. The third tip is to get people moving. Nobody wants to come and sit for an hour and a half or 2 hours, just sit at a table. And so be thoughtful about what kind of activities you can interject. Games, you can do carton packing games or different types of games, role playing, that kind of thing. So think about creatively how can you get people up and moving. And then the fourth point is snacks. Enough said there. Have just some simple snacks there. It's going to be great to, especially with a meeting that's an hour and a half to 2 hours, it's great to have a little bit of refreshment there. And then engage the audience. Be sure to make this interactive if you can. Let people share ideas. Have people share testimonies of what happened last year. And maybe use some door prizes and some videos. And then pray. I went to a NCW prep meeting last year that was so awesome. The prayer team was there at the meeting. And they had a really sweet and meaningful time of prayer over each drop-off team leader. And they named each location by name and prayed over them. And it was really neat. And so be creative about how you pray at your prep meeting. And then theme it out. We went to our national meeting a couple of weeks ago in Boone. And for those of you who remember Erica Spence, she's now on our volunteer relations team. And their team did a presentation for us. And they were all dressed as Star Wars characters. And they had themed Star Wars throughout the presentation, and it just made it fun. I mean, the information was the information, but it made it more fun to hear. So Star Wars, Survivor, Sonny and Cher, whatever floats your boat, just think about a way that you can make it a theme for your meeting. And then finally, take time to celebrate area team successes. Everybody loves to celebrate. So if you've got other team members there, let the church relations team share a couple of great things that happened throughout their year. Let your prayer team share. So celebrate those things that have happened through your team. All right, so that ends the portion of our slideshow that's just for you guys. And now this slide is what would start the prep day PowerPoint that you'll be using at your prep day. So, so this is where we'll start with your new PowerPoint for your meeting. And again, that link we put into the email that we sent today. So you'll go back to that email and you'll see the link that's for the National Collection Week Prep Day PowerPoint. So the first thing we'd like to show that we have here is a training video. I don't know how many of y'all have seen our training video for this year, but we've redone it and it is really amazing. It's got our shoebox recipients, it's really engaging and really a great video. So our belief is that probably a lot of your team members will not have watched this video, and so we want to make sure that everybody sees it. And so show it to people as a group, and you'll have the DVD in your kit, and then you'll have a link to it. So if you want to embed it into this PowerPoint, you can, or you can simply switch over to your DVD player and play it at the beginning of the meeting. And this might be a great thing to play to get people to sit down, as they're mingling, to kind of really kick the meeting off. All right, the next thing that we really wanted to do at our prep meetings this year is do a little bit of evaluation. We just believe that evaluation is the mother of improvement, and so we want to be able to evaluate, how did things go last year? How did National Collection Week 2016 go? So what we've done is we have designed a little survey that you can give. We want you to give all of your teams. And if you're looking at, hopefully all of you were able to print out the resource packet that we emailed to you this afternoon. And so the first thing in your packet after the index, we've got a resource index in there first, but the first document in your packet is going to be this survey. And you'll be able to see that we've segmented it by our 6 core values, and we've put a little list of questions under each of the core values so that people can kind of evaluate themselves and ask themselves, okay, did we do this or did we do that? And then you'll see at the bottom, there's going to be a place where you can say, where people can write in, where did I see gaps last year? And then there's a place where they can write in, what do I want to do differently next year? And that what would we do differently next year is something that they would write in at the very end of your prep meeting. Because hopefully after you go through all of this information, they'll have some good ideas. So we want you to give them this survey at the beginning, and you can make that interactive. Like for each core value, you can have somebody share an idea if you would like. But that's something that we'd like for you to use at the beginning of the meeting, and give a copy to each drop-off team leader so they can fill it out. And then one thing we just wanted to share with you is this actually was a evaluation tool that we used last year. Our staff that traveled around, we used it. Our area coordinators used it. Our logistics coordinators used it. And it just was a great way for us to document the things that we see during National Collection Week. And when we travel around, we're never looking in a negative way, but we do look critically because we're always trying to see, okay, where can we continue to improve and what are we doing really well? And so this evaluation tool just really helps us. So I think for you and for your drop-off team leaders to know, this is the criteria we're using to kind of see how we're doing. That I think will help you as you're trying to plan your National Collection Week this year. So that's what this slide is you'd be giving them that survey and letting them walk through that. All right, then next we want you to share our main 3 objectives with your drop-off team leaders. And these are based on the evaluation feedback that we got from riding around last year. There were 3 areas that we saw that we just felt like really could use some improvement, that were probably the most lacking of all the areas. And those were involving the community. As we drove around, we still noticed that there were a lot of our locations that had maybe just one person sitting there receiving the shoe boxes, or maybe 2. And even as we asked questions, even at places where there were multiple volunteers, we asked questions about where those volunteers came from, and it seemed like they all primarily came from that drop-off location church. And our goal is to get at least 2 to 3 new volunteers each day into your drop-off location, and we'll talk about that later. The second objective that we really want to achieve is to really engage our donors. And what I mean by this is that every donor should leave knowing more about the ministry than when they came. And we'll be talking about that a lot throughout the rest of the PowerPoint. And then finally, share year-round opportunities. We very rarely saw anybody share the year-round opportunities with our donors. And so we really want to make sure that that's a priority for us this year. And we'll be talking about that. So you'll see a lot of the resources we gave you to invest in these 3 areas, because these are our 3 areas for key improvements. All right, and then once you've talked about the objectives, take some time to introduce the team. Hopefully, like I said, you will have your whole team there, other team members, church, prayer, media, everybody can be there, and introduce everybody. And then talk through how can everybody be a part of National Collection Week? Because like I mentioned before, this is an all hands on deck effort. So, for instance, church and community and student team members, they would be a great engager of our donors. They would be great to share area team opportunities. they're going to be great to give you ideas on who could serve at your drop-off location, because they've been working with project leaders and donors all year long. And so hopefully they can get some new people into your drop-off location. Prayer team members are awesome to have during National Collection Week. It's great for them to ride around and pray with people, for them to be able to serve at your center, to be one of your prayer people for a day. They can ask their prayer network partners to come and serve with you at your drop-off location, so they're very valuable. And then finally, media team members are great because they can pitch on-site interviews for TV and radio. So they're a very valuable part of National Collection Week as well. All right, so I'm going to hand this over to Jody. And she's going to talk about the nuts and bolts of what to do before National Collection Week.
All right, so we're going to start with before and talk about what we need to get ready for. And I'm having trouble moving it. Let's see. Shelley, can you move that for me?
Yeah.
Okay, it's not moving.
Okay. So there it goes.
Okay.
I didn't do that, so.
All right, so, oops, we went too far. There we go. All right, so we talked about the 5 Ps. We got to try to come up with something easily to remember. And the 5 Ps of preparation, practically perfect preparation. And so just things to think about as you walk through. You know, the more we get prepared prior to, way before National Collection Week and even your NCW prep meetings, just more enjoyable it is, the more relaxed it is, the more you get to enjoy the process instead of waiting last minute to do everything. So we want to talk about picking your team, placing your signs and choosing your location, promoting. We want to promote at for those to help and get involved in the location. We want to prepare materials and supplies, and obviously we want to pray. So we're going to walk through those and see what that looks like. All right, so I think this is one of the most critical things, and I'm sure you all know as you're on area teams and in your different areas that you work with, logistics and the area coordinators and just the various components, is that team members are critical. And the more we have working together, the better our team works, the more smoothly it works. If we run into some speed bumps, then we have other people to step in and help out. So you want to right now pick your team. And so that's something you want to really communicate to the drop-off team leaders, and the sooner the better on you know, it takes time, but we definitely want to identify our team members. And there's a lot of things we hear. Many people have tried to do this on their own. They don't want anybody else around because then they don't have to delegate or deal with any issues. When others come to serve, they mess up my system. You know, they want to do it a specific way, and we all have our ways we like to do things. And as the team leader or the coordinator, that is the system. But you need to be able to work with a team and create opportunities for serving. Additional volunteers will be bored is another one, and that can be remedied, and we'll talk about that in a minute. I've invited people in the past, but no one has come. And you can create those relationships in order to get them to come and be a part of it. And then it's just easier for me to do it by myself. Of course, anytime you just begin to develop a team, it takes more time. There is an investment in that. But in the long run, it makes it a lot easier for yourself and also for everyone else. So these are just some things that we've heard that you can communicate at the meeting to say, you know, there is obviously reasons why people don't do it, but there are a lot of reasons why we do need to build a team. And the main thing I want to get across here is that, yes, we know that you can't do it alone. It's just there's too many moving parts, and to make it all work well, you really have to have that team there. But mainly the reason is, as we always have seen in your training, is Romans 12:1, is that serving is a privilege. It's something that we are given the opportunity to bring people into ministry. This is your opportunity to do, on this side of the box, evangelism, discipleship, and multiplication of giving out a serving, which is something that we're all called to do and is a privilege, that you are doing that on this side of the box. And so we need to make sure that we give everybody opportunities to be a part of that and to share in the ministry. So it's really critical that we are pulling the team together. And also, everyone on this call, you either have a title that includes coordinator or team leader, which means you are to lead or coordinate people. So we need to build that team. We need to give people that opportunity to serve. And let's see. Did we go the wrong way? Okay, so let's talk about a little bit of way we can walk through these. And while it's true, it says, I don't need anybody. And while that's true, you can sit there by yourself. We can find ways to give others fun and impactful tasks. And there are so many things. If you are doing all of the core principles that we're going to go into at the remainder of the slide, there are there's always things that can be done. There are always activities. There's always engaging. So there's always things that you can do. The second one, other people mess up my system. True, which means you'll have to be more organized. And when you involve more people, you will have to be more organized. But once you get those jobs identified and delegated, then things will run very smooth, and you can actually do more with less time. Volunteers will be bored. Okay, yes, definitely they will be, especially on the downtimes. But if you prepare ahead and you have activities and things, which we'll discuss in a moment, they will be engaged at all times and they'll have things to do. So that's just a part of planning. I've asked other people and nobody comes. Well, even if this is true, you must be consistently and creatively offering opportunity. And maybe it's something finding out that you're asking people to do things within their gifts and talents. And so to kind of think through that and getting effective in getting people to come volunteer. And easier for yourself. Yeah, but you're missing out on the joy of having others serve. There is a joy when you see other people sharing the gospel, praying over other people, sharing about Operation Christmas Child and what it does around the world. And so just giving people that opportunity to serve is really critical. And so what does that look like to have a team? Like, what is it that we want to have? And there's 4 critical ones that I want you to be able to, for yourselves and for your drop-off team leaders, to really have. And that number 1 is the donor engager. We need people, and I think that really makes the drop-off location one of the most engaging things. Is many people, but somebody definitely in charge of the people who are going to be going out, welcoming people. You might have somebody, spinning a sign, just outside engaging people and inside engaging people. And so they're in charge of making sure that people are engaging other people and getting people involved in activities. The hospitality coordinator, just somebody who simply, drinks and food and makes it welcoming in that environment. A site assistant. This is something that each of you should have, somebody to kind of come alongside you as the team leader and making sure that all the little tasks and things that have to be done are running smoothly, and they're there to assist as needed. And then obviously a prayer leader. As drop-off team leaders, you have so many things to oversee and to make move and work. And so the last thing you need to be doing is jumping over to pray over a box, which we all know is a wonderful thing to do. But we need people designated to do that so that you can do the overseeing and managing the critical parts of the moving activities that are going on during the drop-off. Also a volunteer recruiter, somebody who can be going out and getting recruiting volunteers to come in. We do have an email and some things in the packet that will help with that. Volunteer trainer, somebody to train each of the new volunteers that come in every day for their roles and their specific things they're supposed to be doing, and then overseeing that as throughout the time frame that you're open. A drop-off log supervisor, data entry, and obviously drivers, transportation of boxes, and that can be multiple roles for those. All right, so the next P is to place. Where to place the signage, where to place your location. All those things need to be thought out ahead of time, and to make sure that they are, really thinking through somebody who's never ever been to my facility. So you want to, there are printable signs on the extranet, so you want to make sure that the drop-off team leaders know that there's printable signs. They can laminate it for doors. You can take them to sign shops and actually make them really nice and bigger, and usually they're about $13 a piece if they want to have them done. You want to make sure the donors know where to park and which door to enter. So really have somebody actually go through and follow the signs and make sure they know exactly where to go. Remember that, and remind your drop-off team leaders that this is the donor's first impression of your church and Operation Christmas Child for some of them who've never dropped off boxes before. So you want to make it welcoming, engaging, and easy to find. We have had calls where people literally could not find which way to go in, which entrance in the building. So it's really important that you make that very, very clear. So just a thought there, placing directional signs, have volunteers greeting. I think that's one of the most impactful things that I've heard on feedback from going to the drop-off locations. Okay, involving your community. So it's really important, and that's one of the things that this is the third P, promote, is that as a drop-off team leader, this is what, when you sign up to be a drop-off, is that we want this to be in a community event, a community opportunity to serve, to get involved, and it reaches across denominations, across groups in the community, and it really is a way to bring everyone together. So we want to use the community, we want to use our area team to serve and invite, and you really want to try to have new volunteers each day. And it's very easy to just have your core people at your church that you use all the time, but we really want this to, to really reach across lines and to have other people come in and serve. And so there's opportunities to do that, and then you can email and call and get people engaged. Invite local pastors to pray. I think that's a fantastic one, to pray over the donors, to lead devotions. When you first come in and you have that 30 minutes to train the new volunteers. It's a very ingratiating thing, especially local pastors who maybe have never been involved with Operation Christmas Child. It's a great way to reach out. And you can use your church relations team members to help with that outreach. So use your drop-off logs to call those who have dropped off in the past. Consider local groups, ministries, service organizations, and obviously the training videos and email. So there's lots of different ways. Phone calls are always the best route if you can follow up with a phone call and make sure that you reach out to them that way. All right, promote again. Preparation for downtime. We talked about one of your complaints is that nobody will have anything to do. Well, you can prepare for downtime, and that downtime actually can be very effective. If you do have 2 to 3 new volunteers that have never served at the drop-off location from other churches or groups, this is a great time to engage them in the ministry. Have them walk through and talk more about the ministry that they may not know about. Share spiritual impact stories. Obviously, if you're doing the Excel spreadsheet, you can get caught up in some areas. Prayer walk. Have them prayer walk around the facility and outside. Write thank you notes to our donors. We have great cards for that you can order. Create fun crafts. So there's a lot of things that we can have that people can put into boxes, and it gives opportunity to do some gift-in-kind filler items. Plan games, like a carton packing game. Find ways to bless the church. So in the church, if there's ways that, you've pretty much done everything you can do, you can ask them how you can serve them. So there's lots of ways to move through the downtime and to be able to engage your volunteers. Okay, and the other part of promoting is to drop off promote your drop-off location. So you have your banner. Obviously, the zip code locator is online. Just a note on that as of Thursday will be the last time to alter the hours online. So you need to make sure that if the hours are not the way you want them, they need to be updated or corrected. You can go back in on the extranet to do that, but that is where everybody will be looking to know where to go this year. And we also recommend, if they are new drop-off team leaders, to make sure, especially them, but everybody should, is the way to ingratiate the community. But definitely the new ones need to be emailing donors and calling them and saying, hey, we're here now. This is where you're going to drop off. We're excited to have you come to this new drop-off. And so they need to be reaching out. All right, prepare. So you're going to have, there's 3 areas of preparation, and these are resources that you can have at the meeting. Wendy is going to be I'm sorry, Wendy has ordered materials to be dropped to every central drop-off team leader's home, and that will include BASPO cards, area team charts, and presentation booklets. So these are items that you will get shipped to you that you will be able to bring to your National Collection Week, or excuse me, prep meeting, and have them at the back of the room, and they will be able to pick them up on their way out. So they'll be able to leave with these items for their drop-off location and be able to have them for display there. I'd also recommend you put one item on each table so that they can look at them and you can just talk about them as you're walking through the slides. Okay. Okay, the other resources are emailed to you guys. So the packets that you have received, those packets are also going to be for you to email out to your drop-off team leaders. So they're going to be able to have them. You have them now. What we would recommend is that when you go to invite them to the National Collection Week prep meeting, that you will email this packet to them. And so they'll have it ahead of time to look through. But for the actual meeting, to print out a copy for each drop-off team leader that's coming, have it at each of their place settings. And so you can walk through these items as you're going through the slideshow, and you'll be able to explain each of them visually as they're there. That will include a year-round volunteer interest sign-up sheet and a table tent sign. And those are really to help we need to promote our year-round volunteer opportunities. A spiritual impact story templates, and those can be something that you can use around for display or for handing out, and that gives you an opportunity to share about locations where the boxes have gone. NCW volunteer welcome email and training agenda. So this is for you to welcome new volunteers as they're coming, they've agreed to serve at the training center, the collection center, and then the training agenda that they'll go through. Excel drop-off log template and instructions, BASPO Christmas gift idea table tent, it's a mouthful, and they'll go through that later in the slides, and closure packet form example. So you'll be able to send this out to them, and they'll also have this as well. Okay, and things that you can order, this is something to let them know that they can order, make sure they're aware of it. There's a world map online, prayer bundle, picture cards, and All About Me coloring sheets, which are great things to do to keep the kids engaged as the boxes are being dropped off. Okay. And the last thing is to pray, the last P. And obviously prayer is a critical part of everything that we do. And so I just really want to impose upon you to think about prayer. And in that is we talk about opening ceremonies. And I know there's been some mixed feelings about open ceremonies and really what that is and what does that entail. And some people have cut the ribbon. But ultimately the opening ceremonies, and I like to say the opening prayer ceremonies, is really just praying over everything that we're going to do for the week coming. It is a chance to bathe everything in prayer, to include all the volunteers and the pastors and everybody that has agreed to volunteer there can be invited to come. And it's a chance to just really dedicate what you're doing to the Lord. Take a breather. As one of our leaders, Randy, likes to say, is everybody take a deep breath. It's a chance to, after all the preparation, to really stop and thank the Lord for what he's about to do and put everything into prayer. And we are told in 1 Thessalonians 5:17 that we are to pray without ceasing, right? And I think this is so critical because at this point probably everybody is just so geared up for the collection week that we're really not thinking about prayer in the context of it. So just think about, is prayer your steering wheel or your spare tire? Are you really using prayer appropriately? So those are all of the before NCW 5 Ps to think about for this meeting.
All right, Tracy.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go over what happens during National Collection Week, and I just want to start out by saying that We realize our time is going a little bit long. Our goal is to be off in the next 15 or 20 minutes. So we just want you to hang there in there with us, and we will get you all that you need to know. Shelley, my mic keeps muting.
It does? Okay.
There we go. Okay, so the 3 objectives that we talked about, Shelley mentioned those at the beginning. I'm not going to go over everything that we went over to begin with, but you need to make sure that you cover with your team about involving the community, engaging donors, and sharing year-round opportunities. Just like we shared it with you at the beginning, you need to make sure your team knows that those are our weak areas and we want to improve on those this year. And in that PowerPoint slide, you have notes on all of this. So it'll be very easy for you to use the notes that we've given you and present a really good PowerPoint presentation. So after you've covered those objectives, you're going to make sure that you're covering our 6 core values. While those 3 are important because those are areas we're looking to improve on, we don't want to forget about being prayerful, transformational, active, promotional, efficient, and accurate. So prayerful, I'm not even going to spend a lot of time on this because you all know what it means to be prayerful. I just want to throw out, I think inviting a local pastor to your site is a great idea to share with your drop-off team leaders, especially if you think about inviting someone from a church who's not participating. It's a great way to get that local church involved that's not participating and expose them to the ministry, and it gets you another volunteer in the door. Being transformational, the Chick-fil-A experience. We've talked about this many times before with you all. The thing that I want you to think about is last year we received 700 phone calls from people standing outside of a drop-off location that had hours that said they were supposed to be open, but no one was there. Y'all, that is not a Chick-fil-A experience. That is not a transformational experience. You need to make sure that your drop-off team leaders know they have to be open the hours that they said they're going to be open, and they need to focus on providing the donors and their volunteers with more information than when they walked in the door. The other part about transformational is exactly what it says there. You want to make sure that you're sharing about evangelism, discipleship, and multiplication. We want our volunteers to be well trained so they can share that information with the donors that come in. If your volunteers are not well trained, they're not going to be able to provide a transformational experience for the donors. And then, of course, we want to focus on the outside as well. We want that Christmas tree. We want it to look nice. Take time at your prep meeting to have your drop-off team leaders share about how they provided a transformational experience. That people love to share what they've done. And so take that time in your meeting during this slide for them to share cool ideas that they've done and things that they've added to their drop-off locations. And then the active, all hands on deck. I think Jody hit on this very well. We want your goal to be to get 10 people that have not been participating in the past to participate in that hub of activity. Make sure that your location is an exciting place that people want to be at. One of the ways that you're going to do that is to make sure that you do not have drop-off locations that are open from 9 to 5 every day or 9 to 4 every day. It is too hard to maintain enthusiasm and excitement with those long hours. You want to keep your hours to like 2 hours max for rural areas and 4 hours max for the areas within the cities. Now those hours have to all be determined by the end of this week, and we realize that. But this is something that we're trying to turn that ship that you need to be thinking about for next year. So find that cheerleader, make sure you have music, keep it festive. And again, like I said, all of the things that are on these slides, there are extra notes within the notes pages. But involve those donors with interactive activities, like Jody talked about all of these things. I was going to have Mary Jane share about a photo booth. They had a little printer at their drop-off location, and they printed pictures when people came in. It was an incredible idea. She said it did not cost very much. And Mary Jane, I apologize, but I don't have time for you to share. But if you want to know about it, give Mary Jane a call. So this is the Super Bowl, y'all. This is the big event that we gear up for all year. Everybody on your team works towards this event. You need to make sure that your drop-off team leaders are preparing their volunteers to promote the ministry to everyone who comes to the door. Don't assume that people who come in know about Operation Christmas Child. Don't assume they know about the greatest gift or that they know about the greatest journey. And that includes your volunteers. You may have volunteers who sign up who don't know anything at all about the ministry, and this is our most visible week. You've got to make sure that you're preparing them well. So, promotional, what are we going to promote? Obviously, the impact of Operation Christmas Child. This is a great way to segue into Follow Your Box and talking about that, using the world map to mark the countries that we shipped to last year. Providing them that list that we shipped to, and making sure that you're using those spiritual impact cards that we provided for you in the email. That's a great way to just talk to somebody and say, hey, did you follow your box last year? Where did your box go to? Well, let me pull this card right here from Benin where your shoebox went and tell you what happened about it with a child there. Great ways to involve the volunteer in it. And it's not, we're going to have to give it a minute. I'm moving too fast for the slides, y'all. There it goes. Okay, so a visually compelling display. That's a picture of all of the materials that will be sent to you from the headquarters office. Walk your drop-off team leaders through your display. Have a display set up when they come in for your prep meeting. Walk them through it like they're a brand new volunteer or a brand new donor. Talk to them about every piece so they know how to promote volunteering year-round. They know about the greatest journey. They know how to promote the journey of the shoebox. Sign people up, like walk them through it like they've never seen it before so that they know what you're expecting them to do at their drop-off location. Model it for them. Walk them through that table, show them all the resources, make it look organized and compelling. Use the tablecloth if you got a tablecloth, but present it to them in that way so that when you get to this slide, you can say, remember when you came in and I walked you through that table? That's what you need to do with every donor who comes through. Every donor that comes through your door needs to be able to see and participate in that compelling display. There we go. So how can you engage donors? We have talking point cards for you that we printed up. There's 6 on a page. It was in the email. Look at those. Are great things to give to that one volunteer at each location who's going to be talking and engaging the donors. And they have questions. Have you packed a shoebox before? Is this your first time? And it just generates conversation. It's a great way to engage the donor and find out how much they know and then share more information with them. Share with them the impact of the ministry, what the ministry is about, that it's about evangelism, discipleship, multiplication. We're changing children's lives on the other side of the world. You can follow your box. You can pack a box online. All of those things can be generated from those talking points that we sent you all. And those are things that you need to really impart into your drop-off team leaders, that they need to be engaging those donors. And those are points that they can use to engage them with. Sorry, but my thing is not advancing quickly. There we go. Okay, so a word about the area team. This is probably the hardest thing for everybody to do, to try to invite someone to come on to the area team. But if you don't think of it in that sense, think about sharing the gospel with somebody. You're not responsible for their response. You're not responsible for them to join, to accept Christ or not accept Christ. It's the same thing when talking to someone about the area team. It's not your responsibility if they want information and they come on the team or not. Your responsibility as a team member is to just present the opportunity. You present the opportunity and leave it up to them to decide. But really want you to make sure that you're conveying to your drop-off team leaders that we have people all the time who say, man, I would love to be a part of this ministry year-round. I didn't know you. I mean, how often do you hear that? Well, what do you do all year long? You mean you volunteer all year long? This is a great opportunity to get the donors who come in, who are most of the time already passionate about the ministry, and share with them about year-round opportunities. We've got a table tent for you that you can put on your display table. We're going to have volunteer recruitment kits, and we're going to have a sign-up sheet. But just having that sit on your table is not enough. You have to make sure your drop-off team leaders are engaging the donors when they come in, and the volunteers. You may have volunteers who come who don't realize that they can be on a year-round team. Present the same material to your volunteers. Okay, promoting VASBO. We have a sign that says, need a Christmas gift? Build a shoebox online. And then we've got VASBO cards that are coming to you. This is a great, like for me, this is the best thing in the world because I hate to shop. There will be people who come into your drop-off location who hate to shop. And what a great Christmas gift idea. Simply present it there on your table. They'll see the table tent sign and share with them what VASBO is. It's an opportunity for them to build a shoebox online. And I think a great thing to promote to them is that these shoeboxes reach children in hard-to-reach countries because those items are controlled. People love being able to reach those children in hard-to-reach countries. Make sure your drop-off team leaders know that information. So the next is to be efficient. You know, be organized, have a system, have well-trained volunteers, and then training those volunteers. Use the DVD that's provided or have them train online. There's an email that they can go ahead. You can send it to your volunteers ahead of time, and they can watch the training video online, and they can fill out their short-term volunteer form when they come in. You know, thank the volunteers when they come in. Make sure you're beginning your devotion with it, or your each shift with a devotion. Share the vision with them. Tell them about being transformational. Tell them about all our core values. Use the agenda that's provided in your email and follow it when you're training them. And make sure your drop-off team leaders are using that agenda when they're training their new drop-off team leaders. And the last thing I have is to cover tips for cartonizing. I'm not going to go over this slide because it's all in there, plus there's extra notes. But I need to stress that you need to make sure your drop-off team leaders know that they have to, how to cartonize. Make sure they're showing at their prep meeting, especially for those new ones, how to pack a carton. And Wendy, it's up to you, girl. Wendy, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. First of all, thank you all that have hung in here with us this long. Please don't check out on me for the next few minutes because what I'm going to say is really important to make closure packets go well this year. Second thing I want to tell you is thank you. Thank you to those of you who were on this call last year, who listened to what I shared about closure packets and who took it to heart, because we started to turn the ship last season, and I want to commend you for turning in better closure packets last year than what we had the year before, and I'm hoping that we continue to build on it this year. Why do we need to be accurate? Because all of the data you are providing matters to this ministry. We are not asking you to complete useless forms, I promise you that. So the accuracy on them is so important. And we've got over 350 closure packets to process. And by the time my team gets them, we have 2 weeks to turn it around while we're also serving the processing center. So what you do in the field is essential to our success in getting this completed. In the email that you received earlier today, there was a closure packet and Excel drop-off log attachment. That is going to be your best friend for doing closure packets this year. And I just ask you sincerely to please make sure that you print off a copy of that and give it to every drop-off team leader that comes to your NCW prep meeting, because I tried to summarize the important things and to include the example handouts where people can see what a completed form looks like when it's done correctly. And so, Shelley, if you can advance the next slide, actually the next couple slides. I'm not going to read all of this, but I'm going to ask you to read all of it. And it is in the packet that was attached. The two most important things I'm going to pull out from this is please don't use pencil. Don't let your team members use pencil in the forms. We are scanning all of these forms, and pencil does not scan. And the other thing is make sure that team members are not cutting drop-off log pages in half. We had a huge improvement last year, but we still had some locations doing it. We have to scan those forms, and we cannot send half pages through our scanning system. So appreciate your attention to those couple of things. The rest of that data, I'm going to trust that you're going to read and take to heart. Shelley, if you can forward through to the summary sheet, handout, example, and just keep going. I want to land on the Excel drop-off logs. First slide, please. But these pictures of forms that are flying by are exactly what is in the handout packet that was attached to the email. Please just take 5 minutes and look at it, and it will save everybody a whole lot of time in the long run. So Excel drop-off logs, I want to camp on this the most because this was one area where what I had turned in last year taught me about what I needed to do to better communicate to you how to complete these correctly. These logs are absolutely essential for the local area team and for the regional office. We use them all year long for different things to grow the ministry. And our logs are only as good as the data that's put into them and the data that we received. In your email today, you had an attachment for the Excel template for this year. Please have your teams use that template. And again, to make sure that when you're communicating at NCW prep meeting, that they know that they need to get their typed logs for their individual location to you by Wednesday, November 22nd, so that you have until the following Wednesday, the 29th, to compile it and send it to me via email, like we said in one of the slides at the beginning. Shelley, if you could go to the next slide, please. The next slide that's going to be coming up is what a completed Excel drop-off log looks like. This is as far as what you're going to be turning in to me. And here's what I'm going to say. We've got 50-something central drop-off locations. That means I should be receiving 50-something emails, one from every location. Y'all, I seriously had somewhere send me 7 emails for one location last year. If you do the math and people are doing that at large, that just makes it incredibly complex. And the drop-off log, what I did in the example this year is I expanded it so you can see what the central drop-off, and then I've got 4 or so regular drop-offs listed below that. This is the formatting that we need for this information to be usable. Please don't put subtotals. Please don't put blank lines. Please don't put formulas. If you want to do that to your copy after you email it to me, have at it, because I want it to be useful for you too. But for our purposes in the regional office, what you see on this slide is very much what we need to receive in one email with all locations accounted for. In that week, once that deadline of the 22nd, and I realize that Thanksgiving is in there, but when that deadline is there, you've got till the following Wednesday. If you are missing a location, that is the time to ask that location to please follow through with what their commitment was and finish their responsibility so that it doesn't fall on you to be typing it. And if it doesn't get done there, that it doesn't fall on my extremely small administrative team to try to do this for all the locations. It's just way too much. Everybody doing a little bit during that downtime that we talked about during NCW can be the difference maker for this. And if any of you have any questions whatsoever leading up to NCW, during NCW, after NCW, please do not hesitate to email me. and I will be more than happy to take the time to help flesh anything out that you have a question about. I really appreciate your partnership more than I can say, and I wish you all the best NCW yet. Back to you, Shelley.
Thanks, Wendy. So we're wrapping this up. We're close out the PowerPoint with just a couple of reminders for your drop-off team leaders, and I won't take the time to go through these. Y'all can read these. They're probably familiar to you. They've been similar every year. So just a few reminders here. A few reminders about transporting the shoe boxes, and hopefully for your new drop-off team leaders, y'all can help them kind of figure out the best way to transport. One thing that's on here, you'll notice the very last bullet, it says bring additional manpower with you to unload. And you as a central drop-off team leader can choose to share this or not. We heard several, people that got to the central drop-off and there weren't enough people there to unload. And so we were recommending that they bring their own people. But if you have plenty of people on your final day of National Collection Week to unload, which is hopefully how it should be, if you have that, then you can take that last bullet point off. But if you need people to bring extra manpower, you can leave it on. So feel free to change that. And then just a few things to remember after, and you can talk through that with your teams. And this last bullet point, just kind of make sure that they know that in 2018, we will be having debrief meetings and trying to figure out, what are we going to do for our 2018 National Collection Week. So you can just let them know that that is coming up. All right, so that is it. That's everything that we want you to cover during your National Collection Week prep meeting. That's all the reminders for you as a central drop-off team leader. So our prayer is that this has been helpful for you. As Wendy said, we appreciate you so much and are just so thankful for the time that you dedicate to this ministry. And we're thankful for you hanging on with us through this call, even though we went a little bit long. And just want to say, great job. Last year, we did see a lot of improvement. We continue to see improvement in our donor experience and in the prayerfulness. We were so blessed as we drove around last year and went to so many locations and saw some really amazing things. So this year, like we mentioned, if we can just focus on those 3 key objectives, I think we'll be able to move just a little bit forward in improving our experience for our donors and volunteers. So I am going to just say a quick blessing over you and then let you go. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for these precious volunteers, Lord, that have dedicated their time to this. We lift up every aspect of National Collection Week to you, Lord. We ask for 1,085,000 boxes or more to come in, and we ask for safety and just for amazing experiences for everybody on this call, Lord, for us to see glimpses of you and your work and your hand every day of National Collection Week. And Lord, we do continue to pray that you would bring unbelievers to these locations, Lord, people that need to have an encounter with you. Would you please bring them and then shore us up to be faithful to share who you are with the world that comes our way. And Lord, we just give you all praise and glory and honor for who you are and what you do for us. And we just pray all these things in the mighty name of Jesus. Amen. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a good night.
Shelley.
Yes.
Hey, this is Dan Titus. Can you call me sometime tomorrow?
I can. You're on my list, Dan. I'm so sorry. We spent the day getting ready for this.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
All right, thanks. Good night, everyone.